Have you ever wished you could understand what animals are saying? What if you could command the wind, or have an army of not just humans, but birds and mystical beings? It sounds like something straight out of a fantasy movie, right? But for one legendary figure, this was his reality. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the Prophet Solomon, or Suleiman, the king who was given a kingdom unlike any other. Solomon's story isn't just about wealth and power. It's a profound lesson in wisdom, humility, and gratitude. His father was the great prophet David, or Daud, a righteous king and warrior. From a young age, Solomon showed incredible wisdom. There's a famous story where two women came to his father, both claiming to be the mother of the same baby. It was a tough case. David was about to rule in favor of the older woman, but a young Solomon stepped in with a brilliant, yet shocking, idea. He suggested cutting the baby in two, so each woman could have a half. Immediately, one woman cried out, "No! Let her have him, just don't harm the child." In that moment of pure motherly love, Solomon knew who the real mother was. His wisdom was already shining through. When Solomon inherited the throne, he made a simple but powerful prayer. He didn't ask for endless gold or a long life. He asked for a kingdom that no one after him would ever have, and for wisdom to rule it justly. And his prayer was answered in the most spectacular way. He was granted the ability to understand the language of animals. Imagine being able to hear the conversations of birds as they fly overhead, or understand the warnings of an ant on the ground. This wasn't just a party trick, it was a tool for justice and understanding the world around him on a completely different level. His powers didn't stop there. Solomon could also command the wind. He could tell it where to blow, turning a month-long journey into a morning's commute. He also had control over the jinn, powerful unseen beings. Some were righteous, and some were rebellious. The righteous ones became part of his workforce, master craftsmen who built magnificent structures and even dived deep into the ocean to retrieve pearls and treasures. The rebellious ones were put to work too, a testament to his authority and control. His kingdom was a marvel, a fusion of the natural and the supernatural, all working in harmony under his wise rule. One of the most famous tales from his life involves his grand army. It wasn't just made of soldiers, it was a massive procession of humans, jinn, and birds. The birds would fly above, creating a giant canopy that shaded the entire army from the sun. Can you picture that? A living, flying shade moving across the desert? During one of these marches, the army approached a valley, the Valley of the Ants. As they got closer, Solomon, with his unique gift, overheard the queen of the ants shouting to her colony. She was in a panic, crying, "O ants, enter your dwellings, lest Solomon and his soldiers crush you while they do not perceive it." She wasn't accusing them of being malicious. She recognized they might not even notice her tiny subjects. Hearing this, Solomon didn't get angry or feel insulted, he smiled. He was amused and touched by the ants' concern for her people. He immediately ordered his massive army to halt, to wait until every single ant had safely made it into their homes. This small moment speaks volumes about his character. Despite his immense power, he was humble and compassionate enough to care about the smallest of creatures. He then thanked God for the blessings and the ability to do good. Another iconic story is that of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, known as Bilqis. Solomon had a special bird in his army, a hoopoe. One day, during an inspection, the hoopoe was missing. Solomon was annoyed, but the hoopoe soon returned with incredible news. He had flown far to the land of Sheba, in modern-day Yemen, and discovered a magnificent kingdom ruled by a powerful queen. But there was a problem. The queen and her people were worshipping the sun instead of the one true God. Intrigued, Solomon decided to test this. He wrote a letter, beginning with the name of God, and gave it to the hoopoe to deliver. The bird flew to the queen's palace and dropped the letter right in front of her. The queen was wise. She didn't dismiss it. She gathered her advisors and read them the letter, which invited her and her people to submit to God. Her advisors were ready for war, but the queen was more cautious. She knew that when kings invade a land, they often bring destruction. So, she decided on a diplomatic approach. She would send a lavish gift to Solomon to see how he would react. When her envoys arrived with chests of gold and jewels, Solomon wasn't impressed. He told them, "Do you offer me wealth? "What God has given me is far better than what He has given you." He explained that his message wasn't about gaining territory or riches, it was about faith. He sent the envoys back with their gifts and a clear message: either submit to God, or He would come with an army they could not possibly defeat. The queen, realizing this was no ordinary king, decided to travel to his kingdom herself. While she was on her way, Solomon wanted to show her a miracle that would prove his prophethood. He turned to his court of humans and jinn and asked, "Who among you can bring me her throne before she arrives?" A powerful jinn offered to bring it in the blink of an eye. But then, a man who had knowledge of the scripture spoke up. He said, "I will bring it to you before your gaze returns to you." And in an instant, the Queen of Sheba's magnificent throne appeared right there in Solomon's palace. When Solomon saw it, he didn't boast. He immediately thanked God, saying, "This is from the favor of my Lord to test me whether I will be grateful or ungrateful." When the Queen of Sheba finally arrived, she was led to the throne. Solomon asked her, "Is your throne like this?" She was astonished. It was hers, but how could it be here? She answered cleverly, "It is as if it is the one." She was starting to realize the true nature of Solomon's power. Then, Solomon led her into a palace with a floor so polished and clear it looked like a pool of water. Thinking it was water, the queen lifted her dress to avoid getting wet. Solomon gently corrected her, explaining that it was a courtyard paved with smooth glass. At that moment, faced with undeniable proof of a power far greater than her own, the Queen of Sheba declared her faith. She said, "My Lord, indeed I have wronged myself, and I submit with Solomon to God, the Lord of the worlds." She saw that true power wasn't in sun worship or earthly wealth, but in devotion to the Creator of all. Solomon's reign was one of peace and unparalleled prosperity. He undertook massive building projects, including the famous temple in Jerusalem, a place of worship for generations. The jinn, under his command, worked tirelessly, building fortresses, reservoirs, and crafting beautiful art. His kingdom was a beacon of what could be achieved when power is combined with wisdom and humility. But like all prophets and all people, Solomon's life also had to come to an end. And even his death was a lesson. He was overseeing the jinn as they worked on a project. He knew his time was near, so he leaned on his staff and passed away while standing. The jinn, not realizing he was gone, continued to work, day after day, driven by their fear of him. They only discovered the truth when a tiny termite, a creature of the earth, slowly nibbled away at the base of Solomon's wooden staff. After a long time, the staff broke and Solomon's body fell to the ground. It was a powerful final message. It showed that the jinn, despite all their power, did not possess knowledge of the unseen. Only God knows the future and the unseen world. It was also a lesson in humility, a reminder that no matter how mighty a king or prophet may be, all life is finite and ultimately returns to its creator. The story of Prophet Solomon is more than just a collection of miracles. It's a guide. It teaches us that true wealth is gratitude. True power is humility, and true wisdom is recognizing the source of all blessings. He had everything a person could dream of, yet he remained devoted and thankful. He could speak to the ants and command the winds, but his greatest strength was his unwavering faith. His legacy is a timeless reminder that with great power comes great responsibility, and the most magnificent kingdom of all is a heart full of gratitude. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of one of history's most fascinating figures. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that inspire and amaze. Let me know in the comments which story you'd like to hear next. Until then, stay curious.